The news is live on Joy99.7 FM in Accra, live in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM, on Facebook live stream, and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Laura FM Laura, A1 Radio Bolgatanga, Sky FM Sunyai, and Victory FM Aflao. Go digital on Spotify and the myjoyonline.com app. Coming up,
the situation is very difficult right now. Ghana faces a very tough road ahead to restore macro sustainability.
World Bank projects harsher times ahead for Ghana as exchange rates continues to rise amidst inflation and increasing cost of living. We'll hear from the country director of the bank, who's charging government to be transparent with the true state of the economy.
Yes, COVID has not helped, but even before COVID, there were signs that situations was getting a little bit on the more challenging end. So the key thing is, as you say, for us to be transparent to the people.
Meanwhile, Ghana's longest-serving finance minister says the country may not be able to move its population out of poverty in the next 30 years.
At the average rate at which we have been growing, it is well nigh certain that we would not have moved the bulk of our poor out of poverty in another generation.
Also, grocery prices have skyrocketed. We'll get to know why from wholesalers who deliver to markets directly from the farmers in today's edition of the Joy Living Standards series.
Oh no, I won't take 15 cedis. The plantains are expensive. I buy them at a much higher price. I can't sell them for less.
Also, to call off or not to call off the dilemma of the national executives of UTAG as they meet today to take final decision on their suspended action.
Friday, there was no meeting. I've heard in the media not that there was a meeting between UTAG and government on Friday, but there was no meeting.
But General Secretary of UTAG says they are back in the classroom following resolution of their impasse with government.
And what we can say for now is that we have resolved our situation that we found ourselves in with the employer. So as we speak now, we have been able to settle our differences and we've moved on.
We'll hear from the Fair Wages Commission. Former General Secretary of the Christian Council takes on Education Minister for his overemphasis on STEM education, warning the country could end up producing what he describes as intelligent criminals. We'll hear from Reverend Dr. Kwabna Opuni Frimpong later in the bulletin. In sports,
well, over-reliance on foreign-based players have not helped the cause of the Black Stars in continental and global competitions. According to Kwabna Japan, we have details in 20 minutes.
And later, breaking the bias means, among others, thinking for yourself.
You need to take responsibility, my young ladies out there, and refuse to let others do your thinking, talking, or naming. If we have to break the bias, that is the number one thing I want to impress on us.
That's the call from Regional CEO of UBA as women across the world celebrate International Women's Day. Thank you, as always, for choosing us, because we are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. I'm Arba Kumsin, and we start with this.
The situation is very difficult right now. Ghana faces a very tough road ahead to restore macro sustainability.
That's the projection of the World Bank for the future of Ghana's economy, which is crunching at the mercy of high indebtedness, galloping exchange rates, inflation, and general increases in the cost of living. Government has had a tough time rallying support for the controversial e-levy, insisting it may not be able to settle some statutory obligations without the tax. President Akufo-Addo, in his Independence Day address, said more people must pay taxes to aid government's efforts towards rebuilding the economy.
I will not renege on my pledge to help create a progressive and prosperous Ghana. I, however, cannot do this alone. I need the backing of each and every one of you if we are to bounce back together and build a Ghana beyond aid. Less than 10% of the Ghanaian population, i.e. 2.4 million people, carry the direct tax burden of 30.8 million people.
But the source of the country's woes may be more than just stifled revenue generation. Listen to Country Director of the World Bank, Pierre Laporte, on who says Ghana is in for a tough journey back to economic stability.
You call it a crisis. We can describe it in many ways. Is it a really serious situation? The numbers speak for themselves. The situation is very serious, and at the World Bank, we've not hidden the fact that the situation is very difficult right now. Ghana faces a very tough road ahead to restore macro sustainability. The debt, as you know, is close to 80% of GDP, probably now as we speak might have even exceeded. The fiscal deficit, unfortunately with COVID, has gone to a level that needs to be urgently brought back down. Inflation is in double digits. You said everything, Professor. So.
According to Pierre Laporte, although government officials have claimed that COVID-19 is to blame for the current economic challenges, there were signs before COVID-19 struck.
We speak to the finance minister. My vice president from Washington was here 3-4 weeks ago. Yeah, it's acknowledged. He acknowledges the severity of the situation. Yes, COVID has not helped. But even before COVID, there were signs that situations was getting a little bit on the more challenging end. So the key thing is, as you say, first, to be transparent to the people.
So that's World Bank Country Director Pierre Laporte there. Meanwhile, Ghana's longest-serving finance minister, Dr. Kwesi Boatweh, says the country may not be able to move a bulk of its citizens out of poverty in the next generation. He believes the economy is highly distressed with policy credibility.
Some of these countries that we started the journey with are now knocking on the doors of the first world, the countries of high income status, while we desperately cling to the lower rung of middle income, which is where we are. At the average rate at which we have been growing, it is well nigh certain that we would not have moved the bulk of our poor out of poverty in another generation.
That's former Finance Minister Dr. Kwesi Boatweh there. So what options are available to the country? We'll get the perspective of an economist shortly. But speaking of cost of living, grocery prices have skyrocketed. Preparing food is no walk in the park these days. A lot of readjustments and cutting out excesses. Well, Nanama, a wholesale grocery producer at Abublushi and other big markets, explains what goes into the pricing in today's edition of the Living Standards series. Mamesi Nyamiche Thompson has the rest of the story.
We have 400,000. Now, what always say we are better than Mayansika.
Yeah, 20 Ghana. 20 Ghana, no. And I'm a collect home. Made it home.
Groceries from farming communities arrive at Agbogboshi. For over 30 years, Nanama's job is to cart groceries from Gosu farms in the Hafu region to Accra and other big cities for sale. Although the job is tedious and sometimes dangerous, she enjoys it.
Trucks break down and then armed robbers attack us.
Lately, she explains that to make profit, she would have to haggle with retailers.
Oh no, I won't take 15 cedis. The plantains are expensive. I buy them at a much higher price. I can't sell them for less.
She leaves her 6 children far away in the Ahafu region to endure bumpy roads to cart her goods to the market. Sometimes, she spends days on the road when the truck breaks down. Nanama would not disclose how much she earns, but said her profit has dwindled.
Whenever we come to sell, we don't get much because there are many competitors. Sometimes the farmers think we cheat them, But that is not the case.
To understand why Nanama is driving a hard bargain, I engage Martin, a driver. He explains that he is compelled to charge more when carting groceries because of rising fuel prices and the terrible state of roads. But what has bad roads got to do with the prices of groceries? Martin explains.
My vehicle has 9 sections costing about 2,000 cedis. Most of it goes into buying fuel. We have complained several times, but government has turned a deaf ear.
Riding on his nickname, Humimobo, which translates, "Have mercy on me," is hoping government will fix the roads in these areas.
Mamiesi Nyamiche Thompson with today's edition of the Living Standards series. Let's head to the north now because there's heavy deployment of plain and uniformed police officers, the anti-terrorism unit, the military and Operation Calm Life team patrolling Tamale to ensure the city is safe. That's the assurance by the Northern Regional Crime Officer, Superintendent Bernard Baba Ananga. As you know, there is simmering chieftaincy dispute in Tamale that led to a gun attack on the Tamale Chief's Palace yesterday. It's emerging the refusal to comply with a directive by the Dagbon overlord, Yana Bukari II, installing the Gupina as chief of Tamale, sparked the latest violence. Northern Regional Crime Officer Superintendent Bernard Baba Ananga outlined some of the things the security is doing to keep the city calm.
We invited the military. Already, we normally do this Calm Live, so they had to increase their numbers. And we also put out more uniformed policemen with our counter-terror unit, as well as plainclothes. So we went into the patrols.
How long will these patrols continue?
These patrols have come to stay. We want to assure the public that there is peace. Any person at all can go about his own business without any problem. Assure them of their safety. Other places that we normally don't visit, we'll visit there. And then also we'll be effecting arrest.
Now, yesterday we're told that some names were given, some fingers were pointed at some people. Have you invited anybody for questioning yet or arrested anyone?
Yes, we are interviewing people. Of course, some of them are pointing, accusing fingers to certain kinds of persons. That is not the interest of the investigation. What we are pursuing, those 15 men who were on board that particular vehicle that went to the chief palace and fired at people. These are the people we're interested in. Not to go around giving our attention to something that will not, at the end of the day, give us the benefits that we are looking for.
You had Northern Regional Crime Officer Superintendent Bernard Baba Nanga speaking to my colleague Martina Bugri, who joins us on the line. Martina, we understand that Dakpema has been addressing his subjects. What has he been saying?
He appealed to his supporters to remain calm and allow the police deal with the investigations. He says that the last thing he would want to see in the area is violence. They say that he says he believes that the police can do the investigations, and so they are calling for people to stay off and allow the police to work, no interference. But they are also warning that if they find out or they have the feeling that the police are compromising their stand, they would have nothing to do but to defend the palace. Basharu Davali spoke on behalf of the Dakpema. He also assured the people that the Dakpema was doing well, and he had come to the palace earlier before the media was in the palace for the press conference.
All right, many thanks. Martina Bugri is our Northern Regional correspondent. Now, there appears to be confusion among the leadership of the University Teachers Association over the status of their strike over poor conditions of service. The national executives, following a court order and interventions by some Ghanaians, suspended the action for 10 days, but the 15 public universities voted against the suspension. But over the weekend, the General Secretary of UTAG, Dr. Asare Asante Ano, said the body reached an agreement with government over its almost 2-month strike after successful deliberations.
You might recall that UTAG embarked on an indefinite strike on the 10th of January, and then through a meeting of the neck of UTAG, the strike was temporarily suspended on the 21st of February. During the course of the strike, we met with the Parliamentary Select Committee, we met with former President J. Kufuor, and then we met with Sam Jonah, and they pleaded with UTAG to consider the current situation. On Wednesday and Thursday, we had a long meeting with the employer, and today we had to meet at the various branch levels, and yesterday also the neck of UTAG met. And what we can say for now is that we have resolved our situation that we found ourselves in with the employer. So as we speak now, we have been able to settle our differences, and we've moved on. So we would want to take this opportunity to thank the general UTAG members for their support. And we hope also that the intervention also from the president, stating that there is going to be a lasting solution to the problem of the university teacher. We hope that as the president has spoken, he's also going to follow through with his promise. We've also met with our general membership and updated them. And so what we can say is that now we have been able to resolve most of the issues that we had, and we are already teaching.
So that's General Secretary of UTAG, Dr. Asare Asante Ano there. But the national president of UTAG, Professor Solomon Nudu, says there was no such meeting, insisting the association is yet to meet to take a final decision on the strike.
Friday, there was no meeting. I've heard in the media a lot that there was a meeting between UTAG and government on Friday, but there was no meeting. With government, no, we rather have a meeting with UTAG tomorrow. After the meeting, will come out finally on what we do. So tomorrow, after tomorrow's meeting, we can tell. We are in the classroom. If anything will change, it will depend on tomorrow's meeting.
Well, the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission has in the last few weeks met with UTAG to address their demands. We were able to speak to Director of Research and Public Affairs, El Ankra. We'll do that when we reach him. Still on education, the country is at risk of producing intelligent criminals. That's the warning from a former General Secretary of the Christian Council who has taken on the Education Minister for his overemphasis on science, technology, engineering and maths or STEM education. Reverend Kwabena Opunifrimpong says government must urgently incorporate moral and spiritual values in the school curriculum. I will hear from him shortly. But first, listen to Education Minister Dr. Yao Educhum at a recent meeting in Accra where he emphasized STEM education is the bedrock of Ghana's transformation agenda.
STEM has been prioritized. But we also understand the expertise in STEM is vested in the private sector. Education as a public sector enterprise. Nesta, at Dreamover, at MEST, these are the entities that had the expertise in this country. Their partnership with the Ministry of Education will unleash that talent for the benefit of our students.
So that's Education Minister Dr. Yao Educhum. But speaking at the second Joy Christian Forum, dubbed Ghana at 65, is the church still relevant? Reverend Dr. Opunifrimpong called on the country's leaders to change the philosophy behind the country's educational system. Listen.
If it's not Methodist, it's Presby, they will give you the same results. But they all had a philosophy that when you get a Ghanaian child, train the head, train the heart, train the hand. That was the philosophy. Somebody must tell me the history and the philosophy behind education in this country beyond STEM. As if give Ghanaian children science, technology, and the new things they are talking about, and you have solved every problem. And I'll tell them that education without moral and spiritual values, they are producing intelligent criminals. And so far, I don't know how many we have produced. Somebody should tell the Minister of Education that science and technology alone do not build a society. You give science and technology education without moral and spiritual values, you are producing intelligent criminals. And I don't know how many we have produced over the years. And that is why the kind of contract our leaders are signing, that's how we are having it. That is why gradually we are pushing conduct and behavior out of governance system, and we don't care.
You had former General Secretary of the Christian Council, Reverend Dr. Kwabena Opuni Frimpong. You're listening to the Midday Edition. Midday News here on Joy99.7 FM. Our top story, World Bank projects harsher times ahead for Ghana as exchange rates continue to rise amidst inflation and increasing cost of living. We heard from the country director of the bank, who is charging government to be transparent with the true state of the economy. Still ahead, breaking the bias means, among others, thinking for yourself.
You need to take responsibility, my young ladies out there, and refuse to let others do your thinking, talking, or naming. If we have to break the bias, that is the number one thing I want to impress on us.
And later in the bulletin, chaos, disagreement, disruption, and threat of defection to the opposition NDC characterizes the ongoing NPP polling station executive elections in the Ashanti region as aggrieved supporters vow to restrict attempts to impose executives on them.
We will continue to resist any useless and evil machination. Yes, we are ever prepared. Yes, even if it cost our life. Yes, I will do the campaign, severe campaign for NDC party.
More on this, plus sports later. You're welcome back to the Midday News, and it's an all-women's affair today. For sports, we have Na Ajele Doku bringing us the latest from the world of sports. Hi, Na.
Hi, Robs. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good afternoon to you. 8 years after his indefinite suspension from the Black Stars for physically assaulting a management committee member of the national team, Sule Muntari has apologized to the Ghana Football Association. The GFA, in a statement on Tuesday, said it received a letter of apology from Sule Ali Muntari over his indefinite suspension from the Black Stars for his action at the 2014 FIFA World Cup in Brazil. The letter of apology, and I read, I write to express my sincere apologies to the Ghana Football Association and the entire nation, for any embarrassment my action in Brazil brought to the Black Stars team, the Ghana Football Association, and my beloved country, Ghana. I have reflected on what happened, and I am deeply sorry, and I apologize to all the stakeholders in the GFA who were offended by my actions. Ghana has a special place in my heart, and I will forever be indebted to my country and all the fans who have been supportive of me from the beginning. I'm always available to play for the senior national team of Ghana whenever I'm invited. Yours faithfully, Sule Ali Muntari. And that's it with sports.
All right, and very refreshing hearing a different voice this afternoon. But today we're celebrating women all over the world.
Yes.
And on the theme, breaking the bias.
Yes.
So how are you breaking the bias?
Well, funny enough, you know how it is for me with production on Outlook, and it's fun that I get to work with a lot of men. Being a producer, co-directing my own show and hosting, it's quite important that women like us are given, a place when it comes to, bringing out our creatives like you, training younger women in the newsroom, getting them ready to be able to read like the way you do. Lots of people out there look up to you and stuff like that. So to get the opportunity to work with the men in this office who are always encouraging you, helping you out, helping you find your balance in this particular industry, it's just amazing. I'm glad to be alive, to be around people like you, especially Honorable Elton.
All right, many thanks, Najela Doku, who brought us sports today. Now let's do some politics. And the Ashanti region stronghold of the governing New Patriotic Party is not in a good state, and this is because the ongoing polling station executives election has exposed the cracks and disunity in the party. The weekend election could not come on in some polling stations because some aggrieved supporters in Bantama, Kwadaso, Ejusu, Minshia North and others accuse executives at the base of deliberate attempts to manipulate the system for their preferred candidates. Indeed, the Formula Constituency Party office has been repainted in NDC colours, and the supporters say they will defect to the NDC if the rules are skewed to benefit the second Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Andrew Siama. Listen to some of them.
So we gave them another 1 week, making 2 weeks. And we haven't had any reasonable and sensible thing from our General Secretary. That is why I always tell them politically illiterate. You have this chunk of people who are supporting your base, and you to disperse them. I'll go to NDC. I'll do full campaign for NDC.
You alone or your entire family?
My entire family. I will do the campaign, severe campaign for NDC party. Because the NPP party, they have done nothing to me.
Well, leader of the aggrieved supporters, Emmanuel Dama, says the second Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Andrew Siama, who is an independent candidate, cannot hold himself as a member of the party.
The way strong. So where do we go from here?
We have a lot of procedure that we are not timid. I mean, we are not political illiterate like Dombodi. Okay. We are doing things systematically. We are doing this systematically. We know where we are going to. The only thing I can hint them that if they don't adhere to what we are saying, that these eminent people are saying, what the chiefs are saying, we will not disrespect our chiefs. We will not disrespect our imams. Neither do we disrespect our pastors. We are new patriotic party. We believe in democracy.
At the Menchia North constituency, the intervention of the police saved what could have been a bloody clash. Former MP for the area, Collins Owusu-Amankwa, fully supports the action of the aggrieved supporters.
Why are they perpetuating injustice on the people? Why are they doing this? So many issues have been raised. But let me call on the leadership of the party to step in. Because we will continue to resist any useless and evil machination. Yes. As far as this election is concerned. Yes, sir. And we are prepared. Yes. We are ever prepared. Yes. Even though it will cost our life. Yes. We will ensure justice. Yes. People of Menchia North.
So you had a former MP for Menchia North constituency, Collins Owusu-Amankwa there. Let's go on the line and speak to my colleague Nanayao Jima, who's been monitoring this. Nanayao, what is the regional secretariat of the MPP doing about the concerns of these aggrieved supporters?
We are yet to hear anything from the regional executives of the party, but as far as I know, various constituencies have petitioned the regional executives for nullification of some results in the respective areas.
Many thanks, Nana Yao Jima there. Now, as women across the world strike a pose with arms across their bodies as a sign of calling out gender bias, discrimination and stereotyping, they've been encouraged to think for themselves. This is coming from the regional chief CEO of United Bank for Africa for 6 countries, Marafatu Abiola Bewa. Sharing her story at an International Women's Day Summit, Mrs. Abiola Bewa mentioned how she was least considered for managerial positions because of her gender, but considered them as stepping stones to break the barriers.
Ladies should take responsibility. Nobody out there, based on my experience, is going to give it to us free. Throughout my career, it was not on a silver platter. You have to pay the price. I remember when I was asked to become the DMD. I went for more than 13 interviews. They didn't understand. In fact, somebody said, no. This role is for men. Since we started, it has always been for men. Unfortunately, becoming a DMD, you require some central bank approval. So they said, okay, once the male is the MD, the woman can be the deputy. So I took it and I pinched myself. I told myself, this is a bias. I need to work against it.
So that's a regional chief CEO of United Bank for Africa, Marafatu Abiola Bewa there, sharing her own experience. And Mapito is in the studio with entertainment. Do you have any experiences to share?
Well, I have the mic and the opportunity to, express my thoughts and my voice. So that is my experience for now, Araba.
That's how you're breaking the bias.
That's how I'm breaking the bias. I'm learning from you. All right, so on Saturday, we had a fantastic show, Showbiz ATZ, at the Kumasi Cultural Center, and Kofi Hayford has all the details for us.
The Ashanti region witnessed history last Saturday as Showbiz A to Z saw a display of rich culture and tradition to mark Ghana Month on Joy. Drumming, dancing, an eye-opening conversation about the Ashanti Kingdom and its contribution to tourism and creative arts. There's more updates in our subsequent bulletins. Meanwhile, the world is talking about Kiddy and Kwame Eugene's Independence Day concert in the UK. Kiddy and Kwame Eugene shut down the Indigo O2 on Sunday, March 6th for their first ever sold-out concert in the UK. The night also saw performances from Sarkodie, Stonebwoy and Kwabena Kwabena. Bill Cosby can finally breathe a sigh of relief because a Supreme Court in the US has rejected a bid to review a decision that freed Bill from prison earlier.
And those are your entertainment headlines. That's how we end the news. Our top story: World Bank projects harsher times ahead for Ghana as exchange rates continue to rise amidst inflation and increasing cost of living. We heard from the country director of the bank, who's charging government to be transparent with the true state of the economy. That and many more are on myjoyonline.com. Thanks for your company. I'm Mara Bukumsin. We leave you with this spoken word by Brianna Backman.
Dear woman, thank you for being brave. Thank you for being strong, even without a defense counsel and a lawyer to speak up for you. Thank you for holding on. Thank you for surging on. Thank you for enduring the pain. And most of all, thank you for being you.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Doing doesn't daydream. Doing likes to wake up early and stay up late. When they say it can't be done, Doing finds a way. Every day, Doing just does what needs to be done. So, what are we doing today? MTN.
When it's 3 p.m. every weekday and you want something refreshing to listen to, which radio show do you listen to?
For me, when it comes to drive time, it's my Lexus. With you, drive time is always the best. Hearing from you every single afternoon, and you're doing a great job.
My name is Lexus Bill, and I bring you the best late afternoon radio show in Ghana. Drive time on Joy 99.7.